I understand everybody makes mistakes here and there, but The Undertaker's usually good, man. I mean, usually he's good on his game, and then like you said, it was like you're used to the dead man, and this guy, like, he came out and it wasn't the old school Taker. You know, I like how they kept the lights off for part of the promo there. Kind of kept it eerie, you know what I mean? But as far as the match itself at WrestleMania, I think that's a show stealer, man. Shawn versus Taker, man. I think that's one of the matches that I'm looking forward to the most. I mean, Triple H and Randy Orton, those two guys are obviously going to go down there and tear the house down. Ed Cena, you know, I'm a big fan. You know, I'm not a big fan, but I don't shit all over Cena's work, you know what I mean, like other people do. I think Cena's made leaps and bounds from when he first came into the company, you know what I mean, and I think his matches aren't all that bad. You put him in there with Edge. Edge is a great worker. You have Big Show in there for the big spots, you know what I mean. Somebody actually called up in hour number 1 and asked me about the possibility of Big Show winning the title.
I mean, it's how McMahon's been writing the shows. It wouldn't come to me as a surprise. It will definitely be a swerve because anyone thinks that, you know, John Cena is going to win the title, or maybe even Edge retaining the title, but not thinking of Big Show. So that's a good question, and I would like to see something like that because, again, it would be kind of a swerve for the people that think that either of those two.
No, I didn't mean to cut you off. You want to know what my feeling is, man? And this goes back to our debate last week about Christian, right? And how you said everybody just give it time. Christian will be put in this. He'll get his shot. You know what I mean?
Right.
I say you have Edge retain. He retains the title at WrestleMania. You have Christian, who's in the Money in the Bank ladder match. You have Christian go out there, win Money in the Bank, gets a title shot, goes over to SmackDown, cashes in the Money in the Bank, then you have Edge versus Christian for the title over on SmackDown.
And that's a good scenario. And again, once Christian became part of that match, the first thing that came to my head was like, all right, well, now that Jericho kind of lost, I was a little afraid there. I mean, even though I was kind of saying to myself, well, I'd be completely shocked if Jericho just wins against Kofi. But then when Kofi won, once I heard Flair's music, then I already knew what the situation was going to end up being. But it's good. I mean, that makes great television because if you get a Christian to win, and then exactly what you said, now you have within 1 year of Christian working his ass off, and not only that, but improving WWE style of performance. And then whenever he gets a chance, is exactly challenge Edge or challenge whomever. Could be Jeff Hardy, could be Matt Hardy being champions around that time. But if they keep that foursome throughout the summer, and I think eventually we will see those foursomes, because remember, the first ever TLC match took place August 27th in Raleigh, North Carolina.
My man doing his research, huh? Not bad, not bad.
First ever TLC. I should know because I was actually at ringside when the match went down. It wouldn't surprise me if we see a four-way for the WWE title at SummerSlam with those four in a TLC match.
That's possible too, man. But keep in mind, I mean, you're gonna do Hardy versus Hardy, right? Former tag team partner, Hardy versus Hardy. You're gonna do that at WrestleMania. And then you've got Edge Christian, former tag team partners, right? You do that too. And then, like you said, you keep all four of them in the loop. And then eventually, I would say maybe you get your Christian Edge, your Hardy. If you keep all four of those guys in the loop, the only one that's missing right now out of the four guys is Christian, just due to the fact that he's over on ECW, But if they do something at WrestleMania where he goes in, I mean, think of the Money in the Bank ladder match. Mark Henry, I don't think he's got a shot at winning. Kane, I don't think he's got a shot.
He doesn't
Shelton Benjamin, I don't think
the title.
They don't have enough faith in him anyways to push him as a world champion. CM Punk, he won it last year. I don't think they're going to give it to him 2 years in a row. Kofi Kingston, they don't have faith in him as a champion. I think the only guy that's left in there that could really carry it would be Christian, and then that would be the perfect opportunity for him to go over to SmackDown in the draft, cash in the Money in the Bank. He may not do it right now, right after WrestleMania. There may be a delay before he does it, so that they can get some other angles out of the way before they do this. But I think eventually, I think it's going to lead to a Christian, as long as, and maybe you're right, man. Maybe you're right with what we talked about last week and the big debate that we had about Christian. You said just give it some time and we'll see where they go. And I said, I don't know, man. I think Christian's going to be kind of thrown, man. But you may have me, man.
I've followed this sport long enough to understand if you're coming, unless WCW was around and you're in the same league as the Big Show, same league as those guys that jump from WCW to WWE, where they get the spotlight immediately, then it'd be a different story. But in this case, McMahon does not see TNA as a threat. So you leave his company for 3 years to go somewhere else, to come back, you're not going to get on that pedestal quickly, especially with the angle with, and that's just, again, pure speculation based on Christian and Edge and among those specific angles that was, supposedly leaked out to the Internet. It's just, that's how McMahon is. It's just, you come from TNA, you're not, the only other person that I can think, maybe like a Samoan Joe, a Sting, a Kurt Angle, any of those type of guys, or A players, nothing against Christian whatsoever, but any of those big A player gamers will end up leaving TNA to WWE. Then they may get the spotlight. But,
the way I looked at it is you see a guy like Chris Harris, a guy that was, part of America's Most Wanted over in TNA, one of the best tag teams in a long time. And then they bring him over and they give him a Braden Walker gimmick in WWE, and he's trashed. You got a guy like Ron Killings. They bring him over as R-Truth, and the guy got to push it first, and now he's just kind of stuck, So I was taking the approach as guys that come over from TNA, and I just know that in the past, Vince hasn't been a big fan of Christian, you know what I mean? And maybe, I'm not in the arenas week after week. I can't tell how loud the pop is for Christian when he comes out. But if he's getting over with the fans and Vince sees that, Vince will push him. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. But it will take that time. You think about it. Look at the ratings between the audience of TNA and WWE. Someone that doesn't really watch wrestling religiously like us may have not seen Christian. They may say, "Oh, where in the hell did he go? I don't know where he went, but I know he's back."
I'll tell you what, Jose. There's a lot of people that, if you go into an arena packed with WWE fans, if you go to a Raw or SmackDown, I'll be willing to bet you can ask 70% of those people if they've ever heard of TNA, and I bet you 70% of those people say no.
And I believe it. And that's the reason why TNA suffers so much of expanding, is just because, and I understand sometimes when they go to the, shoot to the hip angle and get Palin and get any type of media press, sometimes you kind of get into that little desperate mode to say, I want to see TNA on ESPN SportsCenter. I want to see TNA on the sports article, and I can understand that philosophy of booking. And I think that's where, again, where McMahon sits down in his throne in Stamford and Titan Tower and says, TNA who? Yeah, they're there, but you know what? So is our minor league, so is OVW, and so is Florida, and so is all these other training facilities. Because that's probably what he kind of visualized TNA.
Did you see who's coming to TNA at Lockdown? Have you seen the celebrity that they're bringing in?
No, I have not, unfortunately.
They sent out a press release just before we actually early this afternoon before we went on the air. Danny Bonaducci coming to TNA, going to be in a wrestling match at Lockdown.
Should I comment or should I just keep that one to myself? Should I comment or keep that one to myself?
Actually, you know where this all started, man? Kurt Angle appeared on a Philadelphia radio station a couple weeks back, and basically Danny Bonaducci, who does the celebrity boxing and all that stuff, and he brought something up. Kurt said, if you want to come to TNA, I'll find you somebody to wrestle. I'll find somebody on the roster for you to wrestle. And sure enough, TNA said, oh, this is a mainstream celebrity. They're, well, like a D-lister, not an A-lister by any means, but, you know, like a D-list celebrity, but it's still a celebrity. And, hey, you know what? The guy winds up on TMZ.com. TMZ has videos of Danny Bonaducci. And, you